What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Opendoor. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what's really moving it, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Opendoor is up 4.89%, 612 the high, 585 the low, and a lot of volume. So currently 22 million shares being traded. So today things are really heating up across the board, especially for tech and AI plays. Opendoor is starting to show some signs that it's ready for a nice breakout. So I'll kind of end the video with a lot of kind of technical analysis. But today we did have one data point, and that was the S&P Global Manufacturing coming in at 51.8, forecast of 51.8. So generally good stuff. Market didn't really move too much because of this, but it does signal that there's a expansion occurring. Like I said, it's just AI and tech stocks really heating up. I think over the New Year's, people kind of looked at what has happened over the last week and a half, and how many stocks have really gotten hit, especially in the tech and AI sector. And a lot of analysts raised their expectations as well. So their ratings and have a lot of optimism for 2026. So that's kind of what's really moving Opendoor and much of the greater market. Opendoor right now, no official news, no SEC filings. A couple of things that did come out. One was this right here. So simply just clearly talking about the regulatory kind of hurdles that California does present. Although California is a massive market, so CAS and Opendoor, they have to kind of make some moves and adjust, but California is determined to New Jersey itself in face of Texas and Florida attempting to Delaware themselves. So kind of interesting. So Texas, Florida, more open and kind of moving towards that way. California going towards just higher costs, more regulatory, again, approvals and hurdles. So CAS definitely has a lot of work cut out for them if they want to take a big hold in California, but I think it's clearly done. One thing as well I kind of found interesting, especially with us now in 2026, if Open doesn't make it to $82 per share in 2026, I'm just going to open up a daycare. So that was kind of a little bit more of a funny thing, because I don't know if anyone has seen it. With what's happening in Minnesota, a lot of funny stuff in reality, I guess, if you think it's funny, but a little bit of a good comedy to start 2026 with. Shorts right now are returning 154,000 shares, so they're not really doing too much considering a massive amount of volume getting in today. 14.98% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 117.21 million shares overall being shorted. Short score 52.43 and DTC 1.08. I'm very interested, and I will be interested in finding out the new updated short interest, because as I've explained 2 times per month, this is where the exchange does disclose the true amount of shares being shorted. And for the last little bit since the beginning of December, we've actually seen some kind of situations of naked shorting, because shares on loan is 83.3, number of shares being shorted 117 mil. So that shouldn't happen. So hopefully this is just a one-time kind of glitch and an error. But if the next report does come in and it still does signal that there's naked shorting happening, then I feel like a couple articles need to be kind of wrote about this and bring more awareness. But nonetheless, looking at the options, 1.05 million in calls, 745 in puts. So kind of low in comparison to the overall common stock. But from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be above 6 for today, for it to stay above there, then a 650 for next week, and then 7. So optimism is starting to come back into Opendoor. From a bear standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be pretty much roughly around that $6 range, and that is it. So definitely a lot more upside is anticipated. These are all the transactions occurring so far on the secondary market. So a lot of buys going on, a lot of big money really getting in. On the dark pool, this is very active today, and this is more commonly used by hedge funds as well as shorts. So the fact that shorts aren't really doing too much, and you can kind of see a lot of whole numbers here, hedge funds are buying Opendoor. So definitely good to see. Aside from that though, with it right now at 613, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 596 and 576 is support levels. 627, 658 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. But aside from all of that fun stuff, quickly popping over here. So looking at the 1-day chart. So for those of you that kind of day trade or just want to quickly swing trade, it is showing signs that it wants to break higher. So it is above the 200-day moving average, and that's sitting at 609. So for whatever reason, if it's able to hold and stay above that today, then this is where going into next week you could see a very nice breakout. But looking at the daily chart, it is pretty much testing this 10-day moving average, and that's sitting at 612. So currently it is above that, but again, that's another element that you really want to watch for Opendoor to get above. Realistically, if this momentum does continue, then you could see a touch of this 100-day moving average fairly fast, and that's sitting at 691. Through the flow right here, you can kind of see that a lot of the volume is coming from algorithmic trading. There has been a couple articles really coming out just talking about Eric Jackson, why he's bullish on Opendoor and stuff. Even though I haven't really seen him kind of speaking too much about Opendoor, he's still, in my opinion, kind of all over the place. But nonetheless, Opendoor, based on the technicals and just the macro conditions, it looks like it really wants to move tech and AI a little bit higher. There really hasn't been that much in new analyst ratings. So last one was on November the 12th. So hopefully Opendoor's next upcoming earnings, which haven't been announced just yet, that'll kind of be a home run and really push Opendoor back to kind of the 52-week highs. On a side note, this is the estimated date, so February the 20th, and this is the current estimates. So -9 cents for the earnings per share, 592 million for the revenue, and then over the last 90 days, we're seeing 3 positive and 1 negative revisions to the earnings per share. So should be a pretty big kind of game-changing earnings, no different than the last one. I think it's going to be largely coming down to the future guidance, but Wall Street is going to care a little bit more about the key metrics versus last one, because Kaz just joined in, so I think people already knew that last earnings was going to be more of a transition one. So let me know your thoughts on Opendoor. Are you buying into this hype? Are you kind of taking advantage, and are you selling? What are you generally doing? And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, so worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.